Well, the globalists do want you dead. In fact, it's not something that they've ever changed their mind on. It's something that they've been very open and adamant about. They believe that our world is overpopulated, and they think that in order to save humanity, we've got to knock a few people off, so to speak. But the reason that I want to bring up this in today's broadcast is because of the fact that I don't want us to get lackadaisical on who the real enemies really are. I know Donald Trump is in charge right now. He's been doing a lot of amazing things for our country, and he's making a lot of headway. But just because Donald Trump is there doesn't mean that all the attacks against humanity have halted and stopped. Yes, he has pulled out of the Paris Climate Accords. Yes, he has pulled out of the World Health Organization. And yes, he has done some other amazing things regarding us getting us out of the globalist reach. But the truth is, the threat is still there. And that's why I really was hearkened today to make this video. There is an entire group of people who put together and wrote things like Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, the New Green Deal. And this is also why things like abortion, sterilization, contraceptives, and I'm not against contraceptives in any way. I personally use birth control myself, but I'm just saying these are things that they mention in and women in the workforce, by the way, these are things that they mention in their documents on how they can control the population and the population growth right now. There are other people out there like Elon Musk that says, hey, in fact, we're heading in the other direction and there's not going to be enough people to fill in the gaps. In fact, we need more people because we're going to have empty jobs that are not going to be able to be filled and the whole 9 yards. So you've got kind of two sides of it. Elon Musk, thank God, has been really fighting for our side. And I'm not referencing that. What I am referencing is this globalist side that has really been on this tangent of we are overpopulated. And it just happens to fit so nicely with their new Green Deal agenda. As a quick reminder, I know some of you guys have seen these, but there's liberals listening. So I want to bring some of these back. Here are some quotes from people who are in the up and up at the very top 1%, if you will, talking about overpopulation and how they need to reduce population. If I were reincarnated, I wish to be returned to Earth as a killer virus to lower human population levels. Prince Philip, Duke of Edinburgh. Depopulation should be the highest priority of U.S. foreign policy towards the third world. That was from Henry Kissinger. And then Theodore Roosevelt. Society has no business to permit degenerates to reproduce their kind. That's rather harsh. Then we have here Ted Turner in an interview on a magazine, a total population of about 250 to 300 million people, a 95% decline from present levels would be ideal. And then Thomas and Ferguson of the State Department, there is a single theme behind all our work. We must reduce population levels. And he gets into how he can do that. And then I'm going to skip down to this one, Paul Ehrlich in The Population Bomb, a book that he wrote. A cancer is an uncontrolled multiplication of cells. The population explosion is an uncontrolled multiplication of people. We must shift our efforts from the treatment of the symptoms to the cutting out of the cancer. The operation will demand many apparently brutal and heartless decisions, says the Stanford professor Paul Ehrlich. So that's in The Population Bomb. In fact, the most important news put this out back in January 5th, 2025, and he lists 47 shocking population control quotes from globalists around the world. Everybody from Charles Darwin to Bill Gates to Rockefeller to Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger, which, by the way, that was at the root of her Planned Parenthood idea and agenda. Ted Turner, Bill Maher, former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, and the list goes on and on and on. There's literally 47 of these. And by the way, the numbers of these people saying these quotes about our population continue to increase over time. They don't get worse with time, they get better. In fact, I am super glad with everything Donald Trump is doing right now, but there's still a pushback from organizations regarding this, like the World Economic Forum, right? Take a look at this. And this was back in 2018. David Attenborough, the planet cannot cope with overpopulation. In an interview with BBC News, the 92-year-old British broadcaster said, in the long run, population growth has to come to an end. In other words, we have to stop life from being birthed, so to speak. But it also says more people means more carbon footprints, more cars, waste and emissions, more houses and infrastructure to be constructed, using the world's limited resources, more mouths to be feeding, using more water and energy in food production. So how many people is too many? Scientists are still undecided on Earth's carrying capacity, the maximum number of people it can support indefinitely, with estimates ranging widely between 500 million and more than 1 trillion. 500 million seems rather small to me, but just think about, these are what scientists at the World Economic Forum are debating. That's rather small. We're talking about 7 billion-ish people on the world right now. Quotes are 500 million to a trillion. That's a big gap. But the truth of the matter is, I did a report a while back, and I'm going to go off the top of my head here, but you can put pretty much the entire world in the state of Texas with a really small house and fit us all in the state of Texas, right? To give you an idea, I do not believe in the overpopulation lie. I take more of the Elon Musk side, where I think we're going to need to have a few more people in time. But I personally believe, and I've stated this before on my channel, that this is just one way for them to accomplish more control over our lives. That is the entire aspect of what is going on with Agenda 2030, their Green New Deal, and all of this stuff that they want to force on humanity. In fact, Davos just happened in January, actually, of this year, and they, of course, discussed more of that. But at that Davos event, Donald Trump came and spoke, and he said something rather powerful that a lot of people miss. And I want to bring this back up in this article in light of what's going on. But here it is, the World Economic Forum, yet again, Climate, Nature, and Energy at Davos 2025. So this was published on the 20th of January there of this year. And here's what they said about Donald Trump's speaking session. They say, this week's session come as Trump has issued an executive order to pull the country out of the Paris Agreement. In many respects, the attitude has been one of business as usual, with participants describing a situation where climate activity is so entrenched that policy and action towards net zero and the shift to decarbonization will continue. And I'm going to pause right there, because here's what they say. Here's what they're saying. They're saying Donald Trump withdrew from basically the Paris Climate Agreement, from the World Health Organization. He's not going to be worried about their agenda, their goals and agendas and all of that for this Green New Deal style policy. And they're saying here on the World Economic Forum website that it doesn't matter if Donald Trump is not going along with the plan, because they are so entrenched in policy all over the world, that their decarbonization is going to continue without the aid of Donald Trump, aka America. But the truth of the matter is, there are cities within America that are along with the World Economic Forum's Agenda 2030 sustainable development goals kind of thing. There's a lot of cities that have signed onto that. But either way, Donald Trump is at least making a move in the right direction. Meanwhile, we've got lots of people doing things like sterilizing themselves because of everything these globalists are pushing. For example, here's an article. More people are opting to get sterilized and some are being turned away. Then we have some people in the U.S. are rushing to get sterilized after Roe v. Wade ruling. That was back in 2022, and this is on CNN. Then we have this. Assisted suicide is becoming more and more legal in countries. And this is an older one. It may have changed a little bit, but this is the latest one that they had out. You can see the green countries there. It's legal for a doctor to prescribe medication and administer it, basically to kill people if they want to be killed. Legal for a doctor to prescribe medication. It would be the purple. And then parliamentary debate for a higher court ruling on whether or not you can have that assisted suicide. So lots of things are going on. And you know, there's been other things that have talked about humanity, like the Georgia Guidestones, which somebody blew up, we no longer have, but they wanted to keep the population under 500 million people. Again, that's a really small number. You're talking about a huge chunk of people, sayonara, a good 90-ish, 95%. And it's just insane. Now, that's not to say that they're going to do something, allow some things to happen. I think we're going to see more policies pushing women out and into the workforce, more family breakdown, because the less morality and the less tradition that you have in the family, the more the family breaks up and the less kids you have. It's just a fact of life and a biblical fact. That's why in the Bible, Jesus was so adamant, you know, about the family and having the family together and having that family time. And that is what these globalists are really after and trying to break up. But anyhow, wanted to bring all of that to you so you can kind of get an idea of what's going on. And just because I know a lot of you know about these plans, but it's been a while since I have talked about it and brought it back up. But the truth of the matter is we can't get lackadaisical with Donald Trump now in charge. We have to stay the course. And we have to remember that Donald Trump's only going to be there for 4 years. Somebody else could get voted in the next 4 years. We could have a Joe Biden on steroids, but a non-dementia one, so to speak. And imagine what something like that would look like, where all the departments become weaponized again, purges, who only knows. And the policies of the UN and the World Economic Forum and the WHO will become ever prevalent in the United States. And that's why I don't want you to forget. I want you to remember. I want you to know there's always a spiritual battle going on. There's good and evil fighting. There's a spiritual battle in the heavenlies taking place that God does talk about and the Bible does talk about. And we have to remember it's at play right now in America and all over the globe. And just because we're sitting all right now doesn't mean the rest of the world is, because a lot of these things are happening internationally. Signing out. Oh, and by the way, don't forget to get to restrictedrepublic.com. Almost forgot. Right now, I want to encourage you, get there. I'm putting exclusive reports out there for everyone. Use the coupon code Lisa and the number 5 to get it for $5 per month. I really hope to see you there. We have exclusive content that gets even into more detail than I'm saying here. Anyhow, I love you all. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.